So just thank you to everyone who's a shareholder and to our customers and the Tesla team. And my apologies for the long story. I hope you enjoyed it. And now we'll go to Q&A. Yeah. Sorry? Oh, wait. Sorry. Yeah. So,
all right, everybody, I can give you the instructions for the Q&A if you have the endurance to stick around.
And just before that, we wanted to bring in some of the longest standing Tesla employees. Hey guys, can you come up on stage? So these are just people that have been with the company for on the order of a decade, and just we're going to need 2 lines here. All right, guys, just want to say, thanks for all the many late nights and weekends and intense effort along the way, and it's been an honor working with you. Yeah. All right, so we'll jump right into Q&A.
Okay, I'd like to give the instructions for the Q&A. It looks like most of you know how this works. We queue up behind the mic stands on both sides of the room. We'll take as many questions as we all have endurance to answer or hear the answers to. And I ask you to state your name and please restrict yourselves to 1 question so we can be respectful of everybody in the line. Okay?
One question and one suggestion. Real quick, we need to sell a lot of Teslas, obviously, between now and the Model 3 arrival. And my wife and I are doing our part. We're on our 4th and 5th Model S's, and our 3rd one's going to my brother. So we're keeping it all in the family and trying to fill the world with Teslas. One of the concerns, though, is that whenever we talk Tesla to all of our friends and family and neighbors and everyone that we meet, it seems like there is a remarkably large percentage of people that don't have a clue about climate change, greenhouse gases, completely off their radar. And I'm wondering if, especially because you mentioned this Merchants of Doubt DVD and the documentary, the book as well, if maybe we could get licenses for a clip or something at the galleries or maybe on the website, just because so much of the population that could buy our cars simply doesn't know the moral kind of imperative to save the planet and why it matters. And if we can't get the license, send out a team to interview some of the principals that were in the DVD, just to get more people lining up to keep Fremont running 7 days a week, 3 shifts a day, whatever it takes to fill the world up with Teslas.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great suggestion. It's a good point. We're pretty close to the issue, so for us it seems really obvious. But I think just having something that explains to people who aren't exposed to the level of detail that we are, and maybe just like a little video thing that you could forward or something like that, just to sort of explain it. And I think it's super straightforward, but there is a lot of misinformation out there, and as the the threat of EVs becomes more and more significant to the oil industry, obviously they step up the propaganda campaign, and that's to be expected, you know. So it's real important to fight hard to counter the propaganda. We'll do. I think that's a great suggestion. We'll do it. Sure, fire away. Go ahead.
And I wanted to let you know that we have some suggestions that we don't want to make public with regards to the product itself and the customer service experience. I got a package for all the board members as well.
All right, thank you. We'll take it.
I work for the Labor's Union. I'm here as a shareholder representative. So, Mr. Musk, I have a letter here addressed to the board from the Northern Nevada Building Trades Council outlining concerns over labor abuse, safety violations, and the unfair use of immigrant and out-of-state workers, which has caused over 300 workers to stop work at the Nevada Gigafactory. Additionally, in light of the recent...
Sorry, please try to keep the questions fairly short and one at a time, and I can't hear what you're saying.
Okay, I'll try to speak up. Additionally, in light of the recent case where an H-2B visa worker was exploited and seriously injured at the Fairfield facility, and the many documented safety violations at the Nevada site, due to, in large part, to the bottom feeder practices to hire workers from staffing agencies with questionable skills
This is
and
not a question,
capabilities.
this is a statement. What is your question?
Okay, my question, and thank you for giving me my 2 minutes here. Will you agree to hire and allow an unfettered investigation of these concerns by an outside and independent auditor to protect our investments? The safety issues, you just talked about a metric, building the factory to build the factory. Well, there's a way to build the factory as well, and I don't think you're using the most efficient model, and I'd like you to put your thoughts to that so we can get a better product out there.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like a real important principle to bear in mind here. Like, if Tesla's fundamental optimization was minimizing labor costs, why on earth would we have a factory in California? Or the Bay Area, for that matter? We would do what every other car company has done and move vehicle production either to a different state or a different country. So it's obviously false on the face of it to make any assertion that Tesla is minimizing labor costs. It's obviously false.
Yeah, maybe just to quickly comment on the Gigafactory piece I think you alluded to there. Part of the agreement we made with the state of Nevada was that we would bring at least half of the construction and operations labor for the Gigafactory from in-state in Nevada. And that's a commitment we've kept every single reporting period, every single month of operation since we started several years ago. Today we're over 70% local in Nevada, and we do everything we can to hire people locally. At some point, though, going higher reduces the speed of execution. We simply, in some cases, can't find enough of a certain discipline of worker. So we need to trade that off, but we're well in excess of the commitments we made and that were agreed to by the state.
Yeah,
I'm a shareholder. I got my 85D last July, and since then it's gotten about 150,000 miles or so on it. And even with daily full recharging, we've only lost about 6% total battery capability, and there's been no real maintenance costs except for like 4 sets of tires. But so my question is...
Depends on which tires you... it sounds like you have the high-performance tires, maybe.
No, 19.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A lot of miles, maybe? I don't know.
Like, regarding the free long-distance travel and superchargers for life, how long do you intend to act on that? And then once the Model 3 comes out and there's upwards of 500,000, a million cars out there, how are you going to keep up with that?
Right. To date, we wanted to make it really straightforward and easy. That's why the superchargers are set up, at least to date, for people that have bought the car as free long distance for life. Obviously, that has fundamentally a cost. And so I think, I don't want to make this some big news headline, but the obvious thing to do is to decouple that from the cost of the Model 3. So it will still be very cheap and far cheaper than gasoline to drive long distance with the Model 3, but it will not be free long distance for life unless you purchase that package. It's not like I wish we could. This is not, but in order to achieve the economics, it has to be something like that. But it's like I want to just emphasize like what Tesla's motivation is to make electric transport as affordable as possible. That is what informs all of our actions. So if we do something and we charge for this or charge for that, it is not because we want to make things more expensive. It is because we can't figure out how to make it less expensive. That's all.
Yeah, it also just sort of pains us to see people misvaluing their time at supercharge stations so often.
Yeah.
It is far more convenient and faster for you overall to charge at home or at work. It takes 1 second to plug in. You don't have to go to a separate location and wait for the car to be there. And time and time again, we see people that drive to a supercharge station, sit in their car, wait there for 20, 30 minutes, and then drive to a different destination. And if they do the math on the value of their time, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I think part of it is just people, are used to a paradigm where they go to a gas station to fill up, and that's just normal. So then they get an electric car, and it's like, oh, I need to go to the supercharging station to fill up because that's what's normal. But actually, the best thing to do with an electric car is to charge your car where you charge your phone. Like, would you really take your phone to a gas station? Like, no? So I think a lot of it is just people they're used to an old way of doing things, and they kind of do it by default. But as JV was saying, like driving to a supercharger and in order to like maybe get $5 worth of electricity and spending half an hour for your time, like you're maybe barely at minimum wage. So it's actually not. It's just not the best thing for people, but they kind of do it out of habit.
I'm a long-term investor and a product enthusiast. I have an S and a signature X. By the way, Stephen Bainbridge at your San Rafael Service Center has been excellent in taking care of a few minor kinks with the X. My question for you is, given your hints at vertical takeoff and landing electric plane at some point, do you think that as a long-term investor, I'm thinking 10 years maybe later, I don't know, but do you think as a long-term investor that Tesla would explore designing and producing such a machine, or would that be more of a SpaceX project? And
well, I think we're getting a little off topic here.
Okay.
But,
well, I'm a long-term investor. I'm just trying to
okay.
think 10 years plus out, and what could happen.
Well, I mean, I think nobody's more keen on doing like electric aircraft than me or JV. Like. But we need to stay focused on like the primary mission of electric cars, and the energy density of batteries is not yet ideal for aircraft. Like we need still to make more progress for the energy density of batteries, so the gravimetric energy density before aircraft really. Start to become compelling relative to kerosene-fueled aircraft or petroleum-based aircraft. But it's not. I mean, it's not out of the question that Tesla would do electric aircraft in the future. I mean, our goal is to accelerate the advent of sustainable transport. So that goal has been there from the founding of the company, and that's what. Is going to remain true for the future. Sustainable energy, yeah. So.
I want to thank you, Mr. Musk, and acknowledge you for creating an environmentally friendly interior that's comfortable, beautiful, and soft. The ultra-white interior is a moral and ethical option that aligns perfectly with Tesla's sustainability goals. My question is, when can we expect this interior in other colors and be available in all models of Tesla?
Sure.
Hopefully soon.
You know, we generally sort of try to minimize comment on future products, except that I think, I mean, I kind of agree with the general sentiment, and that it should be available for all colors. I agree. Yeah.
You seem to be a very important part of this company, and I was wondering what your strategy is for ensuring your personal mental clarity and long-term health and security, like yoga or goji berries.
I'm probably not engaging in a set of actions likely to maximize my lifespan. Yeah. I don't know. I do think, like, you know, at this time, I'm you know, in all the history of Tesla, this is the most excited I've actually been about the future of the company. And I think, you know, that sort of excitement is just a, you know, powerful driver and makes me want to get up in the morning and come to work. I think it's incredibly important that you have an environment in general where people look forward to coming to work, because it's just so much easier to work hard if you love what you're doing. And you know, the stuff I was saying about building the machine that builds the machine, I'm just really fired up about that. And I think it's one of those things where so much more is possible than people realize. And so I think it's going to be, we're really going to positively surprise people there. I'm really excited about spending time on that, and you know, JV is, and the rest of the team are. So I think, yeah, you know, I'm feeling pretty fired up, actually. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
I recall 4 years ago you said that the new owners of Model S would not be disappointed. I can tell you that I am so not disappointed in my signature Model S that it now has a twin in my garage. So now we have somewhere between 100 to 160 kilowatt hours of storage sitting in the garage. I'd like to buy a power wall, but that only has 7 kilowatt hours of storage. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering whether there can't be, at some point, a connection so that you could trickle charge the power wall and keep the house secure for a lot longer than the few hours that the power wall would currently take care of.
Do you mean connect the car to the...
Yes. And maybe if this isn't possible for the current cars, I guess I would just say that I think it would be a useful thing to do for the future, because I think then people will both have an incentive to buy a Powerwall since they have the car, or if they have the Powerwall, they'll see that they should be buying a Tesla so that they can have that extended energy use.
Yeah, it's definitely something we've discussed internally, and we've talked about that. And you know, one of the main missions for the Powerwall is to cycle very often, every single day. And a secondary benefit, it's really helpful, is to be able to provide backup power in an outage. But that really isn't the only reason we would create the product. And when you connect your car to your house, you're mainly solving or improving the backup power situation. It's not something where you buy a Model S and park it in the garage and never drive it, obviously. So that's part of why we didn't focus that much on that particular problem. And also the characteristics of the batteries in the car, make it such that if you wanted to do that very repeated cycling, it's not really designed for it. So the Powerwall is dedicated in its design, to cycle daily and to do that for 10 plus years.
Yeah, the car is designed to cycle essentially weekly.
Right.
So it's an order of magnitude difference. It's something that sort of intuitively makes sense, and actually in the very early days of the Roadster prototypes, you could do that. You could actually power, it could send power both ways. And then for reasons that JV mentioned, we decided, okay, that's probably not a good thing. And it's also tricky because if there's unexpected backdriving of power from the car, it can create electrocution risks and do things that people aren't expecting. And so then you get into a separate regulatory regime where you're now the car is driving power into the house. And this gets very complicated, particularly as you go to different jurisdictions and different permitting environments. So, so we think, and then of course, if you want to be able to use your car and your house at the same time. And so if power goes away for the house when you drive, then probably the rest of your family will be upset about that. So I think it really is kind of a three-part problem of sustainable power generation, storage, and car.
Work in the Presidio, or as I like to refer to it, Starfleet, and I was going to ask about planes and spaceships and the battery power you were going to do for that, but instead, since I'm a cook, the gentleman that asked about the coming to fill up at your stations and you saw a higher value of their time somewhere else, seeing this room full of people, obviously we all seem to value coming here and meeting you and meeting the other people that are vested in this adventure. Don't you think it would behoove you to have a destination of the supercharger stations with a restaurant or something to engage them while they're charging?
Well, we actually have a whole program we call Destination Chargers. It's well named. And these are basically AC chargers that we install at hotels or restaurants or other points of interest, parks, museums, things like that. And we actually have more of those now than we do supercharge connections. They don't get publicized as much, but you can find them on the Find Us page on our website. And it's phenomenally useful if you're taking a road trip using superchargers to get somewhere, and then you want to decide where do you stop at the end of your road trip, so you can charge and have your car plugged in even when you're at your hotel or wherever it is you're going. So that we designed those two systems to work in parallel with each other, so that they could have a synergy.
Thanks.